Hello fellow cine enthusiasts, my name is Christina and welcome to another Let's Get Reel's movie review. Today's movie is LA Confidential. To me, LA Confidential is like a film noir, and it is Noirvember in the classic movie world, so I figured why not for today review a modern movie that has some film noir tones to it. And LA Confidential takes place in 1953, I believe, in the world of glamorous classic Hollywood. It is about the LAPD, and they are extremely corrupt and kind of amoral. A lot of things happen. There's a beatdown in the police station on Christmas Day, and it was a big scandal for the police department, even though they're into dirty dealings, and they've just been getting a lot of bad press. And this beating in the police station, which I believe was called Bloody Christmas, it really kind of gave the police station and just the LAPD in general a really, really bad name. So they decided to let one of the cops go, a guy named Stenzel, I think his name is, and it kind of bothers the other police officers that this guy was let go. Even he was involved in this beating because another young detective named Ed Exley, who is played by Guy Pearce, he kind of ratted on this guy, and he said that he can snitch on a few people and get them to talk about what happened. So all that stuff, everything happens, and there is a murder in this cafe called the Night Owl Cafe, and it brings three cases together for Exley and Jack Vincennes, played by Kevin Spacey, and Russell Crowe's character, whose last name is White, and I unfortunately forget his first name. It brings them all together. It brings in police corruption even more. It brings in prostitution, and it brings in drug-related things tied to the gangster Mickey Cohen. That's all I'm going to tell you about the story. Just know that these three cases come together, and things unfold in a crazy, brilliant way. LA Confidential is one of the most perfect movies that you will ever see. The writing is excellent, the acting is excellent, the direction is so perfect. Really, not too many movies in the 90s, I feel, and even ones today, could really touch the perfection of LA Confidential as a modern movie. From start to finish, it's just fantastic, and it really does remind you, if you like film noir, if you're familiar with the genre, you're familiar with movies in the late 40s and in the 50s, and it really reminds you of that type of story and that kind of darkness that the stories had. Now, obviously, this story of LA Confidential, made in 1997, got away with a lot more than the movies from the 40s and the 50s because of all the production codes and things like that. But I am sure, had they been allowed to make movies like LA Confidential during the original film noir era, that they would have done something similar to this. A lot of them did. A lot of them had stories about police corruption and gangsters and people moving in to take the spot of gangsters, but you really have to look into movies, you have to dig deep in there and really focus on what's going on and kind of see the undertones and where the writers and directors at that time were getting to, because they couldn't say so much. It's hidden, it's like a subliminal message in those movies. You just really have to look for it. The cast, as I said, is brilliant. Guy Pearce played Ed Huxley. He was fantastic. You can kind of see the cockiness of Ed Exley. He was a young detective who wanted to prove himself and live up to his father, who was also a very great detective and a great cop, and who had been killed trying to get a purse snatcher. And he just wanted to become somebody like his father, and he was a little cocky. And Guy Pearce, even though he's not a cocky man, from what I can tell from interviews and other films and everything, he doesn't seem like that type of person, but he has that cocky young guy kind of look in this film, and he was brilliant. I loved his character. I loved the way he carried the character, he carried himself, and his look was just so perfect. Classic 1950s Hollywood. Russell Crowe, I really have no opinion on because I'm not a fan of his at all. I don't find anything great about him as an actor. I really just don't like him. To me, he's kind of like, why are you here? You're kind of a waste of space. And his character, he wants to do good things, but he just goes about it the wrong way. He's a brute. He beats the crap out of people. He doesn't take kindly to men who abuse women, which is not a bad thing. He goes and he like really polarizes men who do that, but after a while, when he needs to get something out of somebody to just get information, that brutality, it doesn't really bother me with the violence aspect. It just bothers me because I feel like it's just too much. I'm like, ugh, it just bores the crap out of me about that character. Kim Basinger plays a prostitute in this movie named Lynn, and she won an Academy Award for Best Supporting Actress for this role, and she was great. I don't know the other actresses in this category in 1997, but she won, and I think she deserved it. She was excellent, and the small parts that she had, there was one part where Ed was speaking to Lynn in a police station towards the end, and you just see this stripped down woman and this stripped down version of her character. If that's the way to explain it, if you've seen this movie, maybe you know the scene that I'm talking about, and if you can better explain it than I can, then definitely please leave a comment down below and tell me what you think. I'd really like it. Maybe it'll be 10 times better. I'm sure it'll be 10 times better than how I've explained it, but I can see why she was nominated and maybe why she even won in that scene. Danny DeVito plays a bit of a slime ball in this movie. He plays a gossip reporter, and he looks to Kevin Spacey's character, Jack Vincennes, to get the dirt on, all these actors, because Jack, he is a consultant on a big crime show, and he gets some stories from people, and he's like, okay, well, this is happening here and here, and his story, his crime that he's investigating that eventually leads to all of the cases coming together is actually very interesting, and I like the way that Jack works compared to how Ed and Russell Crowe's character work. They all have different ways of working their cases, and I like seeing that difference and how they all kind of melded together to get rid of whatever's happening and to put away the bad guys in this situation. Another thing I really liked about LA Confidential is that there's no wasted story, there's no wasted scene. Everything is meant to be in there, and it moves the story along perfectly. There's not one moment in LA Confidential that is slow, that is boring, because everything just gets right to the point of the story. It has a meaning, and it's telling its story. There's no bringing a character in and having this one long scene. There's no reason for. Everything is supposed to be in this movie, and the direction really, really captures that, and it really captures the essence of that time. It was just great. I'm gonna keep saying that everything about this movie is just great. I hope you liked my review of LA Confidential. If you have yet to see it, definitely go and see it. It's worth buying. If you just find it, buy it. If you're a big movie fan, you have to own it. You have to see it, first of all, and then you have to own it. It's one of those movies that if you're a film buff in any way, it's just one of those all-around perfect movies that if you liked my review of LA Confidential in any way, give it a thumbs up, leave a comment down below so we can further discuss this, and maybe also discuss Noirvember. If you have any suggestions for Noirvember, leave them in the comments. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button for future movie reviews. As always, keep watching movies and stay absolutely fabulous.